Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to take that absolute gut punch feeling of a stolen wallet and transform it into a clear, totally actionable plan to protect your identity. Let's get right into it.
Seriously, imagine losing your wallet. Your stomach just instantly drops, right? You get that terrible mix of panic and vulnerability, wondering exactly who has your cards and what they're doing with them right this very second. But what if you could take all that control back within just a few minutes? Stick with me, because today we're going to learn how you can protect yourself swiftly and effectively using tools that give you immediate control.
Here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We're going to look at what a fraud alert actually is, how to place one, alerts versus credit freezes, follow-up and next steps, limitations and common mistakes, and wrap it all up with a conclusion and brief disclaimer.
All right, Section 1. What is a fraud alert? Let's get the basics explained.
So a fraud alert is essentially a massive red flag placed right on your credit file. It's a notice telling creditors, hey, you need to take extra steps to verify my identity before approving any new credit. The really crucial point here is that it acts as a proactive security checkpoint. If a thief tries to open a new credit card or maybe take out a loan using the ID they swiped from your wallet, the lender absolutely has to contact you, usually at a phone number you provided, just to make sure it's actually you making that application. It's a real game changer for your peace of mind.
Now, as you can see, there are 3 distinct types of alerts tailored to whatever specific situation you're in. First up, we've got the initial fraud alert. This one lasts for a single year, and it's perfect if you just suspect your identity might be compromised, like, say, simply losing your wallet. Anyone can request this one. Second is the extended fraud alert. This is a total powerhouse that lasts for 7 full years, but you do need proof that you are a confirmed victim of identity theft to get it, which means submitting a police or FTC report. And finally, there's the active duty alert, which also lasts a year. This is specifically meant to protect the credit of deployed military service members while they're serving away from home.
Moving right along to Section 2, how to place an alert. Let's go through the step-by-step guide.
You know, you might be thinking, setting this all up is going to be a massive bureaucratic headache, but honestly, it is incredibly streamlined. Step 1, you literally only need to contact one of the 3 major credit bureaus. Step 2, you provide some basic identity verification if they ask for it. And step 3, here's the magic, the bureau you contacted is legally required to automatically notify the other 2. It brilliantly shows just how consumer-friendly this whole thing can be. Just one phone call or one quick web form, and the whole shebang is protected across the board.
So here's the exact contact info you're gonna need to get this alert rolling online or by phone right now. You can choose Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Any single one of them will do the trick perfectly. Oh, and here's a great bonus tip for you to be extra thorough. There's a 4th smaller reporting agency called Innovis. Because they don't automatically share their fraud alert data with the big 3, if you want to make absolutely sure all your bases are covered, you can contact Innovis separately to place an alert on their file too. Okay, and perhaps the absolute best part about securing your credit with any of these alerts, whether initial, extended, or active duty, is that it is completely 100% free. $0. By law, the bureaus cannot charge you a single dime to place a fraud alert.
All right, on to Section 3, alerts versus credit freezes. Let's look at the key differences.
People mix these two up all the time, but there's a really clear distinction. A fraud alert basically adds a verification step. It tells the lender, hey, check with me first, but it still allows the actual credit check to proceed. It causes super minimal disruption if you're the one trying to apply for a loan. Now, on the flip side, a credit freeze acts as a total, complete lockdown. It restricts access to your credit report entirely. If you have a freeze on there, absolutely no one, not even you, can open a new account until you manually unfreeze your file. So basically, a freeze gives you stronger protection, but an alert offers way more convenience.
And just to put any of your financial anxieties to rest right now, both fraud alerts and credit freezes are free, and neither one will hurt your credit score. You can rest easy knowing that taking these protective measures won't negatively impact your credit history or those complex mathematical factors used to calculate your score in any way, shape, or form. Let's jump to Section 4, follow-up and next steps to secure your finances. Okay, swift action here is absolutely critical, especially with your bank accounts. Under federal rules, the clock starts ticking the very second you realize your wallet is missing. If you report a lost debit card within the first 2 business days, your maximum liability for unauthorized transfers is capped at $50. Not terrible. But if you wait more than 2 days, you could be on the hook for up to $500. And if you wait more than 60 days after your statement is sent out, your liability for stolen funds becomes completely unlimited, meaning you could literally lose every single cent in your account. The takeaway here?
Do not wait.
Because a fraud alert only protects you against new credit accounts being opened, you really have to take these follow-up steps to lock down your existing compromised accounts. First, call your bank immediately to close or freeze those debit and credit cards that were physically inside the wallet. Next, change your passwords and PINs for all your online banking. Also, request your free credit reports. Having a fraud alert actually entitles you to extra free reports from the bureaus, so definitely use them to monitor for anything suspicious. And lastly, if there actually are fraudulent charges, file a police report or head over to identitytheft.gov. That creates an official record, which is exactly what you need to upgrade to that powerful 7-year extended alert.
Which brings us to Section 5, Limitations and Common Mistakes. Here is what to watch out for.
As Experian points out perfectly here, a key limitation you need to understand is that a fraud alert is not some magical, impenetrable force field. It does not protect your existing accounts. Think about it. If a thief has your physical credit card in their hand, they can just walk into a store and swipe it. That transaction doesn't require a credit check, so the Bureau's alert won't do a thing to stop it. And that right there is exactly why calling your bank to cancel those specific physical cards is so incredibly vital.
Another massive pitfall to watch out for is getting a false sense of permanent security. You got to remember that an initial fraud alert expires automatically after exactly 1 year. A super common mistake is simply forgetting to renew it. Patient identity thieves will sometimes just sit on your stolen info for over a year, waiting for your guard to drop. So, do yourself a favor, set a calendar reminder on your phone right now to renew your alert in 364 days, unless you've already upgraded to the 7-year extended version.
And finally, Section 6, Conclusion and Disclaimer. Let's wrap this all up. You know, a stolen wallet makes you feel incredibly helpless. But as we've seen throughout this explainer today, the power is actually entirely in your hands. Are you ready to take control of your credit and turn that vulnerability into pure empowerment? By taking literally just a few minutes to contact one single credit bureau and your bank, you can completely neutralize the threat. You know the rules, you know the timelines, and now you have all the contact info you need to get it done.
If you found this helpful, please share this information to help anyone else who might find themselves in this super stressful situation. And please keep this brief disclaimer in mind. The information provided in this explainer is strictly for educational purposes and is not legal advice. Definitely consult with a qualified legal expert for personalized advice relevant to your specific situation. As you go about securing your digital and physical identity today, I want to leave you with one final thought. What other unseen vulnerabilities might be hiding in plain sight in your everyday routines? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay safe out there.